We are live. Welcome to Vlog Thursday number 249. Wow, cool. That's neat. That's a lot of them. And we made a 3D pumpkin. Posted this on Twitter. And this thing's pretty cool. In the spirit of Halloween, which is this weekend here, nice, great holiday, lots of fun. And this is just oddly satisfying to look at. Look at this. It's like hypnotizing. And this is all 3D printed, all these little parts here. There's a tiny bit of glue that was used to hold this in, but other than that, it's actually just built and snapped together. The spring that's kind of mesmerizing here actually will stay in there. And yeah, it's pretty cool. So this is definitely a little fun toy I made for those of you wondering. If you look at my Twitter, I've got the link posted where you can download the 3D print. It's only a few tweets ago, so by coincidence, we had some googly eyes because googly eyes are cool. And this allowed us to, make it easy to throw something in there. Where's my commenters? This is unusual that we have a live show with concurrent viewers. And oh, here we go. Now we got some people commenting. Usually a few people start saying hello. I usually do this later. And yes. Let's see. I just want to say thank you for your tips on pfSense and on Netgate. Some of those videos, actually, let's do this. We'll throw these on the screen as well. Just want to say thank you for pfSense and tips and pfSense on that. Some of these videos of you have been very useful. My network in home is almost complete. Awesome. Hey, that's great to hear. I am glad that is helpful. I scheduled a live stream a little bit earlier, and it's just really nice out. I'm just not going to lie. I had a busy day, and it's nice out, so I don't plan on staying really late on the live stream today. Really pretty simple. I had done a thing with Ninja RMM earlier, so the Toe of Satan is still sitting here. Yes, we did some really spicy stuff at the end, and it was just, yeah. It was fun. It was fun. It was spicy. It was crazy spicy. Now, I figured today we'll talk a little bit about, let me open up my lab so I can pull something up here. Actually, and I got to then share it. So click off the share screen, Chrome tab. There we go. Well, that's kind of neat. I can look at this camera and see the output of this. Cool. But I want to talk a little bit about, while we're here, we'll talk a little bit about benchmarking, damn lies, and benchmarks, as I've said before when I've done some of these type of benchmarking videos. But a few people have always asked me how you're doing the benchmarks. I always say Phoronix test suite, but I wanted to kind of talk about it a little bit. And I'm wondering if there's I didn't really look. I mostly just did reading, but I don't think there's really many people who've done videos about using Phoronix test suite. Phoronix test suite's actually really cool, and it's really in depth how well it works. Actually, we'll pull that up too. So let me just stop share. We'll pull that up. There we go. And one of the things about Phoronix and why I like it so much is, one, the library of the crazy library of all the tests you can run is really outstanding with Phoronix. It gives you just an absolute ton of options. And I really like that. It also is good for scheduling tests that are rather complex. You can actually set up the Phoronix server, and it's like a web interface where you can have multiple machines, schedule all the tests, send all the jobs, make them run concurrently or on some type of schedule like you'd like them to run. And it gives you automatic uploads right to the open benchmarks. Now, having a common benchmark that I can run across machines and someone else can run across machines, so we can have a consensus of this version of this benchmark run with these parameters, so we can understand and test things, is huge in the market. So we can have like a consistency of how we look at things. It's one of those challenges when someone says, how fast is it? And fast is a real relative term because so much of it comes down to what's useful to you. What do you need? Faster transfer speeds, faster IOPS and storage. It is when Netgate has their listings, it's one of the reasons they don't just list like the iPerf traffic, because iPerf is, well, singular streaming, not complex. When you look at a network, it's going to be a series of complex streams. And how well do those go across? Well, these are all those things, like you have to have common languages and common tools to reach a consensus, so we both are talking about the same thing. So state the goal and then have benchmarks that run till we can achieve similar results that work for the workload you're targeting. So it's kind of funny. It's kind of fun playing with Phoronix and, doing all these benchmarking tests that I've been doing, because it just brings me closer to that consensus. And it's numbers that you can repeat yourself. If you want to know, hey, how does this system configured this way perform? And then you'll get an idea. Then you're like, oh, I need a workload that would actually be able to do that, or at least achieve those performance numbers, or a minimum for my type of workload, because it's this. And yeah, it's just kind of a fun thing to play with. Been using UniFi access points combo in a hospital where I'm admin, best choice ever. We've done some big medical facilities with them, and they work fine. We haven't really had issues with them. I mean, it's one of those things, like when people ask me about UniFi, someone may point out that there's more features in another brand. Do you need those features? Are you going to use them? That's what it comes down to. I mean, if you need those other features that aren't available in any, this goes for any product. If the product has the features you want and you're not going to use those extra features that the competing product has, then comparing it to those features never made sense to me. Because I'll see people, but this one does this other thing. But do you need that other thing? Well, not at all. So why do you, just because a product can do more doesn't make it the better fit for that particular project? We got all the way from Malaysia. Hello from Malaysia. Catching on live. So doing it earlier, I'll probably get a few different faces here. So that's great. A few different people. Let me find, clear what I have open. Drag over another screen so it's closer to me. Stop sharing. And then we want to share a screen, a window. I think this is the right window. Yeah, there we go. Now I got to go in and so we can log into Phoronix. I figure we'll do a little bit of playing with it here. Let's make the screen a little bigger. All right, there we go. And we'll just run this test real quick. Well, there's a few different tests we can run, but the Phoronix test suite, and like I said, maybe there's a demand I'm not aware of making a whole video on this right here. But the Phoronix test suite, matter of fact, we can probably just do this to get a whole, I think there's a list suite in here. Analyze runtimes, build suite, list all tests. And we can listen all the different tests they have. And, there's another one here is a SQL test. So we can run the SQLite speed test. That's specifically for a system. So we'll go ahead and do this. So it'd be Phoronix test suite. And it downloads it. It's going to run this real quick. Actually, let me do something so I can see the comments over here too. All right, it's downloading that. Keep an eye on the comments here. Hey, from Southgate, it's Brett Chittum there. He's in the other office. He's not just in Southgate, he's like in the other side of the room. Bulgaria is not. Bulgaria is much further away. While that's downloading. In your UDM Pro review, you mentioned that the hardware was great, but it has some software limitations, multi-IP in a single point win. Have those other limitations been addressed? No. I did a recent video on the UDM, like very recently, about why what I talked about what works and what doesn't. So my video was like maybe from 2 weeks ago, maybe 3. And people keep asking this question and I don't understand. Like I keep repeating myself on this one. And I said it in the video. The limitations are so much software based. So when someone says, well, what about the new hardware they're coming out? Well, if that new hardware isn't going to accompany a update to the software to fix the shortcomings, it's the same thing again with the same problems. This is the problem people have. They go, oh, the USG wasn't that great, so let me try the USG Pro. and they go, hey, the USG Pro has all these same software limitations. Sure does. This is one of the problems with the way UniFi just is not putting the time they really need into improving the product to the next level for firewalls. It's a shame they don't, because it would be a more popular product if they did, but they didn't. So here we are. The other day, you showed a typical setup, which you guys have for a client, which is a PSNS router and a UniFi switch, but you can't run a UniFi switch without adopting it via UniFi controller. That's true. If we're going to have a managed client with UniFi switches, we manage those clients under our controller. If you want if you want a switch that has a web interface, you just don't get a UniFi. I mean, we've got clients that are one-off clients. They're not actively managed, that we install standard switches in. You know, we've used Cisco switches. We've used, because I've used some of the Cisco Catalyst 1000 switches. We've used some of the Edge switches. Kind of depends on the client. We talked to a client recently. It's nothing we're doing active engagement with, that has some Netgear switches. They know how to configure them. They have them set up. They have a web interface. I mean, if they're functioning and there's not a reason to rip them out, use them. But yeah, if you use a UniFi, it's got to be adapted to a controller. That controller doesn't need to be on all the time, by the way. So let's kick off a benchmark in the background while this is going. So let's go ahead and we'll do threads. You can do more than one test by putting commas, but we'll kick this off so it runs in the background. We'll say we want number 3. Would you like to save these results? We'll call it log Thursday. Unique name. Test. Run for vlog. All right, it says it's going to take about 33 minutes. We'll see how long. It gets the estimate wrong all the time about how long this will actually take to do. So we'll go ahead and keep answering comments while that runs in the background. Yes, you can run the controller, Linux Cloud Key. I don't really recommend in Windows, but we do have some people, because they only have a Windows server, they only fire up the controller to make changes, and then they shut the controller back down. I mean, that even works. So that's one of the options on there. Actually, we should probably switch. Let's see. Is there anything interesting to watch here? Yes. We'll pull this up now while that test runs. Wow, that's not bad at all. Let me share the results with you. You know, I wonder if I can pull them up on the other. Can you share 2 screens at a time? That's the real question. If I did a share screen and I did actually cancel. I've not tried this in stream yet. We're in new and uncharted territories here. What happens when we go here and hit share screen, new tab? I just want to see what happens. Nope. It doesn't let me. Okay, I have to share it from my other computer. Fair enough. Fair enough. So we will remove this one, and I'll add back the other one. Actually, let's just do this. We are going to share, stop screen share, share screen. We'll just share the whole window so I can just drag things around. Entire screen, screen 2. Share. We get this fun effect again. Now we can do this. Then I can tab over to this. But this is what I see on the other side, so we can try to figure out how many IOPS it is. Now this is looking at here. We can also log into the Synology itself. Maybe. Thought it was a RS. 3. There we go. Because when you're running benchmarks, you got to log into all the things you're benchmarking. Pull up the resource monitor, see what it looks like on here. Let that run. Let this run. Pull this up. Oh, okay. This one, it's actually already done here, so not much to look at. Now, this is how Phoronix looks when it's done. We're going to get, it wants to upload it to Open Benchmarks. Yes, yes. Don't share all my data. Copy link. And we can see the test results. So here's the test run for the SQLite test and what we were able to get. Now, let's go ahead and test something here. This is, these are all the steps you go through when you're testing. Let's go over here to the disk. Currently, this disk is living on a Synology RS3621. If you didn't see, I just released a video a little while ago, and it was my testing on that. We're going to live migrate this to another storage. Let's do local storage. So this will be a live migration. We're just going to pop the hard drive over to another storage, and we're going to run under test and see what happens. So it takes about 2 minutes to migrate the VM to somewhere else, the storage for the VM specifically, and see how that goes. Let's go ahead and, I like when it looks like this. Let me go ahead and, how can we fix that? Oh, I know how. You can do this. Let's cover this part up. This is how I see all the chat. This is still doubled up, so we'll go ahead and just remove it for now and answer questions. Let's see. Hi, Tom. I was in the U.S. and I bought some UniFi APs back in my country. I got a warning message. Your current country of territory is not supported. Is it risky to live like this from now on? There are rules that you may be violating. I don't know what the consequences of breaking those rules are, but you should probably look that up. The Wi-Fi ranges, any type of broadcast is regulated in each country by their designated things. And here we have the FCC that manages the airwaves here. The bandwidth is controlled by the government, and they have restrictions on it. And if you're in another jurisdiction, they may have different restrictions. So that's why they have these rules like that. I don't recommend breaking those rules. I don't know all the consequences, but and awesome. Lawlessness on Wi-Fi in your country are no rules. Then I don't know. You're getting a warning because you're outside of the area that is known to be allowed. So oh yeah, migration of storage of live machines. You can live migrate things wherever you want, and it happens really fast. It's like already done. So our storage is now migrated to a different machine. So let's go ahead and which screen should we share again? Pull up this one. See, this is all migrated. So if we go here and look, it's now on local storage. And by the way, we didn't have to reboot it. But what we can do now is this. We'll run the same test again. I think we chose option 2. Actually, you can look at the results real quick. 32. All right. So that is option 3. Hold on, let me flipping screens fast here, folks. When you do it all yourself, it's a lot more. So option 3. Would you like to save these results? Sure would. What we like to call it? We're going to call it Vlog Thursday again because we want it to upload to the same spot. So we'll say Vlog Thursday, and we'll call this one using local storage. All right. Now it's going to do this test run, and now we're going to find out is local storage on this particular setup faster than the storage on the other one. So let's go back over. But this is kind of the neat way it works. So you can go through these benchmarks. Now, when you keep using the same benchmark name over and over again and add a different description, it consolidates them all together to do comparisons. So now let me pull this up so I see when it's done. Once this benchmark is done, we're going to see the comparison between them, and I'll be able to judge which one's faster, local or the Synology storage. Actually, local storage is NVMe. I'm going to guess the NVMe is going to be a little bit faster. I say a little bit because the Synology, if you didn't watch that other video, is a 12 drive all SSD system. So it is really fast with 25 gig connection in it. So yes, it can definitely handle some speed. Matter of fact, we should probably, after this is done, we'll set up another test. I have some Windows servers we can copy over to it as well and run like crystal disk info if you want to see how fast the Synology is versus the local storage as well. But these are all those benchmarks that we keep running to keep doing these tests. I say Windows, the Windows is, we're going to run crystal disk, not Phoronix. I think there's a way to get Phoronix working in Windows. I always run it in Linux because most of the workloads that outside of Windows, other than knowing what you need for Windows workload, most of the stuff that's going to run in these servers is a bunch of Linux stuff. It all depends. It varies on obviously what the client requests are and things like that. Still running. Can bring that back up. You know, I could probably drag this window over here. I need like one more screen maybe, because this one has got me rubbernecking because I look way over to see my other screen over there. But this would allow me to leave this up. And see if that's done. Switch to this over here. That's still running. Leave that pulled up. United States seems to be the only country where Wi-Fi hardware has to be physically limited, where other countries allow you to choose. I probably would guess that's just because we have too many things here that would overlap. So they narrow the bandwidth pretty much for a lot of restrictions. There's just a lot of things going on here, a lot of industry. So if they didn't do this, you would end up with this giant overlap, people broadcasting things they shouldn't, and some of the problems that may come from that. Actually, I got to turn this other camera off. Here, not even using that camera. I don't need that one on. That'd be kind of weird. I could, there's a few different camera angles I can switch to, but that would be complicated right now. So, what type of remote storage? It is an iSCSI attached to Synology. So that's a good question. So just so you can see, we go to storage, we have the Synology, and then we go here to the iSCSI manager, and here's that. We can also open up the storage manager. And you can see that we have 12 SSDs in there in this particular system. So it's iSCSI connected to XCP-NG. Um, 10 gig to a Synology with 10 gig and SSDs is enough for you. Yeah, you know, until you get a 25 gig, and then you're like, yeah, I definitely could go more. Yeah, I usually I have TrueNAS servers that I do testing on too. Matter of fact, I have some new TrueNAS benchmarks I'll be doing soon. I've done a video on Aruba Instant On before. The Aruba Instant On is going to be the Aruba Instant On is going to be the what do you call it? The easier platform to use and has a dashboard to manage it. But they do have a lot of the Instant On devices have local access web interfaces like on the switches. So, I mean, it kind of comes down to whatever choice you really want to go with. MikroTik's got a lot of features, but comes at the expense of being really complicated. So that's one thing I don't like about them. If you send emails to me, they usually go into Bitbucket. So you need to post in my forums. So I get so many emails, I don't reply a lot. I have different email addresses I use that I can't share out. Everything has to get filtered through either my forums or a ticket because the volume of people that just randomly email me is too much sometimes. And so there's like 22,000 messages in my inbox sometimes. So how many are there now? Let's look. How many? Yeah. So emails generally don't always have time for all of them. That's why I use the forums. 242,000 overall emails, and there's a percentage of those that are unread. So if you want an idea of this, once you had an email address for a while, lots of people just send it, and you just have to switch and create new email addresses. So this is an FYI on people wanting to just randomly send me emails. Now it's not likely you get a reply. Did you see Linus switch to TrueNAS? Yes. I'm happy to see that Linus, I tweeted this, that he's finally come on over to the enlightened side of how were you trying to run all of that on Windows storage server? It's just not practical. And so that, I just realized these wires are dangling. They should probably be up here where they belong. There we go. I don't know if they're any, I don't even know if anyone knows they're in the screen or not. I just looked over. I'm like, yeah, those are kind of hanging there. So yes, Linus is now finally with the TrueNAS. Yeah, if I had a nickel for every time someone said, please submit a ticket. Even for us, it's when you fill out the form on our website, it goes to our ticketing system, and then the team deals with it, so to speak. I mean, I'm among that team that looks at all the tickets. Well, I can't look at all of them because it comes down to time. And that's just something, it's a scalability problem too. I don't have time to do one-to-one unless people are buying time from me. I don't do one-to-one support on email. It's impractical. This is why I have my forums. The forums are hugely useful because people keep asking the same questions, which is great. That's fine. The same questions are common. And the way the forums solve that one-to-many problem is you're asking a question that when you start typing in my forums, you go, oh, someone answered this already. I'm not the first person that had a DHCP problem. I'm not the first person to have a DNS problem or a misunderstanding how VLANs work. So this is one of the ways I solve it is heading over to the forums. As a matter of fact, one of my favorite things on the forums is I see people post there, and before I have a chance to reply, there's often people who have the answer for you and do reply. So this is why I have to push it that way. Me answering all the emails is just, like I said, it's kind of an impractical thing. Upload the test results. Yes. Yes. Whoops. That isn't what I wanted. What did I do? Did I open a new window? Oh, crap. Huh. My TMUX session's broken. Oh, well. I think I can get that test again. Did I copy it, though? Nope. I can run it again. Such is life. Whoops. I accidentally killed the session. My bad. Fun stuff. Linus is finally growing to the size he's starting to see real world problems. Yeah, I think he was seeing them before. He was seeing the problems before. It's just like, seemed like he really opened up to non-Windows option in the past few years. Well, it's one of those things. If you've worked in large scale systems, you'll realize they're not run on Windows. Windows doesn't scale to the large scale cloud systems out there. They're constantly re-engineering Azure and things like that to try to make it work. And yeah, it's Linux has been there for a while, especially when it comes to storage servers. TrueNAS has been in the enterprise market on the back end for a long time. ZFS is not new. So that's definitely, it's just the reality of it. All right. So let's run that test one more time. So we'll say, actually, let's run this test. Yes. We'll call it the Vlog Thursday one again. And we won't close the window. One more test. I think if I do this, it'll actually upload all the results. I could probably just force it to upload the results, but if we do a single test right now, it'll on this. What does local storage look like on this? No, not bad. Last time it was hitting about 60,000 IOPS on here. So here we come ramping up again with a single test. Is that TrueNAS running as a VM on Zen server? No, it is not. I am not running TrueNAS as a VM. I don't ever recommend running TrueNAS as a VM outside of a lab environment. Yes, someone's going to point out, but I got it to work. Yes, and then there's more people that didn't get it to work. If you got it to work, hats off, awesome. But then some people I knew that had it working, an update came, a new kernel update, and it broke again. TrueNAS was designed directly to interact with hardware. And even when you do full pass-through, there is occasional problems that you may run into. It's not something I would run in production. But if you want to run it, have at it. I've talked about it. I did a video on it. But I also say it's for a lab more so than anything else. It's not something I really would push for in production. Yeah, Linus has some network engineers and Linux people working there now. So yes, he's hired a lot of people. Yeah. Any known drawbacks running TrueNAS as a VM? Many, many drawbacks, like random crashing, corrupted drives, random CRC errors. We've had people contact us for troubleshooting, and we started digging into troubleshooting and right away realized they had it virtualized. Like we couldn't solve the problem. Now there's a good write-up on if you dig around for a virtualized TrueNAS, someone found a kernel bug, and the people at XCP&G helped modify. They worked, I believe, with the people at IX Systems to help solve a problem and pushed an update to help solve a condition that was occurring. But that's the kind of level it takes. You can run into some obscure problems, and one of them is me and Xavier worked on his system. He virtualized it because he wanted to, and he constantly had problems with it. He constantly got a pool that worked fine for some length of time and then ran into random CRC errors, not consistently. But if you load the system bare metal, works fine. So it was only occurring when he dealt with it when it was virtualized. So the hardware was fine. It just didn't like TrueNAS being virtualized, even though we did all the proper things in pass-through. And yeah, it's just one of those things that happens. Now we can see the final results here. There we go. Oh, I need to run. There's the TrueNAS, the first one, local storage. So actually the local NVMe is, fewer is better. So local NVMe is actually a little bit faster by like double. So we can run more tests too and keep adding them in here. So it's another test we can run, like the FIO tests. 1,2. Actually, before we run it, we want to migrate it. Let's put this back over. Well, no, I guess we can run it here. So we'll run this test again. So 1,2, we just want to do some random read writes for. Yes, and this is going to we'll call this vlog Thursday. Local NVMe. All right, so this is the local NVMe, and then we'll move it back over to the Synology and run one more test. This kind of, so we're just walking through how all this works for those of you that are interested in this. iSCSI, the best way to root more storage, or is there better options? NFS. So don't do it over SMB. SMB is a bad way to do VM storage. NFS. So I did a video comparing iSCSI and NFS. If you're using a Synology, iSCSI is noticeably faster. But there's some different things. Like if you're using XCP&G with iSCSI, it doesn't thin provision. So that's one of your disadvantages. But if you go over to TrueNAS with NFS and iSCSI, the performance difference is much more narrow. iSCSI still outperformed in TrueNAS a little bit better, but it's not like blow you away night and day, double your performance. And back to specifically to XCP&G, it's not thin provisioned, so that can be a disadvantage on there. And I actually I set all my stuff up for my production equipment all in NFS. There might be some edge cases where I've used iSCSI, but everything we have here is run over NFS mounts because it's easier to deal with, because for when you're snapshotting, every file on there, every VHD is a singular file. So it's easy if you ever have to run snapshots on there and on the TrueNAS server on an NFS share, and then flip those snapshots back. You can just grab a single file and flip it back. So, you know, you can just run it like that. It makes it a lot simpler, and life is good. Hey, thanks for the thoughts, everyone. Cool. You're going to go with the MikroTik. Seems to be much more popular over the Aruba. The thing is, use a Switch OS. That's one thing about the MikroTik. I got a video on Switch OS. Their Switch OS I actually kind of like. It makes the system a lot more manageable compared to using their full MikroTik. If you're space limited, running TrueNAS virtualized is good for backup storage. If you say so, I wouldn't trust it. That's my personal take, is don't trust it for production. Getting my home lab started with 2 R720XDs on the way. Awesome. You need at least 3 for an HA cluster, just so you know. And that's because of... There we go. Split brain computing. Look this up. This is why you need at least 3 computers for HA. So it's called split brain computing. You can dive into that topic right there. But that's if you want to do a proper HA, you'd want to look at that. But it's still, you can still cluster, you can still, well, pool them together is the way XCP-ng is the nomenclature. If you're using XCP-ng, use whatever makes you happy. But yes. SMB doesn't handle the file locking quite as efficiently. That's why SMB is bad for VM storage. NFS is still, you're going to get better performance out of it. It comes down to the way it handles certain file locking. I don't think the SMB protocol deals well with all the frequent small writes with open file locks. I think it has a hard time with that. I just know from performance testing, it doesn't perform all that well. Speaking of performance, not bad. 725. This is our reads, and these are our writes at 660. So not bad. That's about, wow, 191,000 IOPS. That's 168,000 IOPS. I'm going to say the local storage. This is just a standard Ryzen system, by the way. This is like I'm going to work on a video on this. This is like an off-the-shelf Ryzen from Micro Center with a motherboard. This is all consumer stuff. We just wanted to build it for a test lab that had a Ryzen on it that was inexpensive with an NVMe. There's no redundancy on this NVMe, but hey, it's still impressive the kind of numbers you can get out of it. So it's a fast system. I wish XCP-ng would show the storage stats while one of the hosts are down. I mean, the stats are, you can't really show stats when a host is down because there's no stats to show. Because if you look at, I mean, I get it, there's no stats. You're right. I guess you're looking for the historical stats, for example, on this right here. I guess that's probably what you're looking for. Yeah, it does not show the historical stats, but you can get an idea of them from here, but then of course it's mixed in with everything else. Yeah, I've never looked into Microsoft's solution for it. I don't think we're actually working with, we've worked more than one company that's just getting away from Hyper-V and all the problems they've had with it. They've found the XCP-ng to be very stable. I was talking to Wendell the other day from Level 1 Techs. He's been really getting into a lot more XCP-ng. He's really impressed with the product as well, like I am. So XCP-ng is where it's at, man. It's it's pretty awesome. I'm going to do, I have a new video I'm going to be doing on it because they added so many cool features in here for like their backups, their smart backups and deltas. They've really done a lot of enhancement in here of how all this works. And it's been kind of fun to play with all this. Just benchmark done. Still running. I would love a lab rack with servers for some performance testing, but I didn't want all the noise in my condo. Yeah. Yeah, it does. It does have a noise expense that comes with it. Rent a colo. That's another solution for that. Just rent some colo space. Yeah, there might be some way to do it. I don't know how to. There's actually a thing that I've never tried. It's called it's not something I've ever played with, but it does claim to work with XCP-ng. This is like it's on my to-do list to try this because it's novel and it's been around for a while, and they've updated it to, have support. It supports Citrix. It supports XCP-ng. I don't know how fast it is with the way they're doing it though, because they have a slightly way they're synchronizing everything right between there. So if you're keeping drive synced in order to give it the HA across these servers, it's doable, but I think it comes probably at quite a performance penalty. That's why it needs some testing. I don't know what that performance penalty is. That's what benchmarks are for, so we can figure that out. So if I set it up, I'll be benchmarking it. It's kind of a novel idea, and it's been around for a little while. So tests are still running here. Do you need to have a Windows host to manage XCP-ng? No. I am clearly running, in case it's not clear, I'm running Linux. And obviously I'm managing XCP-ng. It's all web interface driven with Zen Orchestra. So no, you can do this. I don't even like the Windows management tool at all for it. I only like using it for that. In case you're wondering too, the reason this test is running so long, when it keeps seeing deviations, it keeps reiterating the test until it creates an average, until it gets a consistent benchmark. Not the historical stats for a VM. I'm talking about the stats of shared storage. When I only have one of my shared storage hosts up, the stats go away. Yeah, I guess that's true too. If they're down, I can't see them. I never use it in Docker. I imagine it could, but it's so easy to build. I have a Debian 10 build video for it, so I use it with Debian 10 and I build it from source. So there's a script that builds it for you. That's why I don't run it in Docker. Also, I don't know if the Docker one is officially by them. I don't like when Docker containers are by third-party people I don't know, because I don't trust them. If it's from the actual project maintainer, great. If it's somebody that just does it because they want to, less great unless I know them, especially with all the supply chain attacks. I mean, if you haven't noticed, there's been a giant increase on, I covered this before. There's been a bunch of bad Docker images that had backdoors in them, because some people don't do things out of the kindness of their heart. They do them to build popular projects, slip in a backdoor, put popular project out there. It's a pretty solid solution, because people so many times, without even thinking about it, you're like, just pull a Docker image, Docker pull the magic thing I want. Look, I found it on a website. It says Docker pull, and this container can be built and have everything I ever wanted in it. And yes. Yes. So we have our first result here. Oh, let's see. Only the random read. Oh, random read, random write. All right, let's run that same test again. But first, must migrate the storage. And I love that we don't even have to reboot this. We're just going to go ahead and migrate, move it over to Synology, and in a minute, it'll be over to the Synology. It's on its way. Send it over. XCP&G just makes this testing at least somewhat easy. You know, not that rebooting the VMs is hard. This machine's relatively fast. So I go back over here to the, here we go. Here's all the data coming in. Look at the network traffic. You tried HA Lizard. Didn't like the disk-based limitations, found a better solution to be NFS on top of DRDB. Okay. Yes. Node.js certainly did suffer this. So they're attacking, certainly threat actors are attacking Node. It's actually, I think it was the NPM libraries that got attacked that ended up elsewhere. But the build supply chain is under heavy attack. Trusting random people to build you Docker images just seems like a horrible idea to me. So I definitely avoid it. I carefully choose my packages. And even though I'm being careful, I've only mitigated some risk. I've certainly not 100%, unless I write every line of code myself, mitigated risk, because it's a real challenge. I don't use Cloud Init, but I think Jay is working on or has done a Cloud Init video. I don't use it, so I can't really answer any questions about it. I know Jay's been working on some Cloud Init stuff. I can't recall if he has a video on it or not. Learn Linux TV. But you know what we can do? Learn Linux TV. Yes, he does have that one on there. So Jay has a Cloud Init video, and it's Cloud Init in general. I haven't tried it specifically with any add-ons from XCP&G, but Learn Linux TV does have a video on Cloud Init. One of our challenges for 2020, making sure containers are sure. Yes, TrueCharts is definitely taking this head on. And this is one of those things you deal with. You have to have trusted sources where you get the containers from. If that person who is maintaining it has bad intentions, those bad intentions carry on over to you. And it's a real problem that people face. So that's, it's a scary thought. Hey, look, we're living on the Synology now. So now we just do a little up arrow. One comma two. Yes. We're going to call it Blog Thursday. A unique name. This is Synology. All right, and this will run this test right here, and then we can compare the two. Is the local NVMe faster or the Synology faster? So that's what our next thing is. So we'll let that run in the background here. It's ramping up, doing its thing. Then we'll see the Synology here. Do the overview. Peeking out the network, peeking out the iSCSI. 2022. Hey, 2020, 2022, the future. We'll just say the future. Yes. Didn't the time just quit moving forward after 2020? Isn't that really what we're dealing with here? Since it's just 2020. 2020 hit, and it's just after this, it's 2020. It just, who even counts the years after this one? Ooh, 535. And 135,000 IOPS for this. Not bad. Lots of results. Yeah, the dev of a library got his GitHub account hacked, and the hackers uploaded a new version with the crypto miners code. That is correct. Steve Gibson covered this in Security Now, broke down some of the details of it. It's not hard to find, these type of attacks. And I did a video on dependency confusion. This is a real problem. Like I said, the supply chain attacks are ramping up, and this dependency and confusion was done by a security researcher, which is so good because one, wow, was that an interesting write-up? But two, it's also it was a warning shot because a lot of the security researcher that did the dependency confusion write-up was able to get a lot further than he should have in some very large companies by an attack a lot of people just weren't really looking for. So I'm glad a security researcher was doing it before someone else. Facebook in some ways solved identity for social networks. I think Facebook has done nothing in solving identity for social networks. Nothing at all. I feel there's so many fake accounts on Facebook, people impersonating other people. And most of the time, it's not an identity crisis problem. It's people who still don't have 2FA on their accounts problem. That's usually where the issues start with a lot of these. The developers just have to tighten it up a little bit, especially the older developers that were just used to doing it a certain way and go, well, no one would really go after me, would they? I just make this one little module that doesn't seem like that big of a deal, even though it's used in 130 million projects. So that's, yes. What research are you talking about? Let's see. This right here, great read. Dependency Confusion, How I Hacked Apple, Microsoft, and dozens of other companies. Yes, the story of a novel supply chain attack. This is a brilliant write-up. And basically, it turns out that they were able to figure this out. And this is so clever that when these large companies, I think I could drop a link to in here. These large companies, they were able to discover certain dependencies they were requesting. Now, the dependencies they were requesting, the namespaces were internal, but it still made an external request. So let's say we're looking for special Facebook dot whatever, or actually, did you say Facebook or is it Apple was in there? Who's the companies on the list? Apple, Microsoft, and dozens of other companies. So let's say Apple's building one of their internal tools, or Microsoft, or any of the other companies in this list here. Node has the NPM name registry and Python pip, Python package index package, and Ruby's gems can be found as well as Ruby gems. So what they're doing is they're attacking these namespaces. So when you're building your tools, you have your external tools that you're pulling down and you have your internal ones. But the search order happens to be in the build process. This is why this is a novel attack, and it's mitigated now because this was from a little while ago. At least I hope it's mitigated. I really hope it's mitigated. But what happens is in a namespace, I have these list of dependencies I need to pull. And some of them are internal dependencies that I have that we wrote internal code for. I'm the developer. I put these internal code, and I have a code call for Pumpkin 2.0. If you know that Pumpkin 2.0 is needed, it goes and pulls it. But the system is also smart and wants to pull the latest version. It reaches out externally and would pull things like versions that are higher numbers. So if you know it's pulling Pumpkin 2.0 and that dependency is met locally, it pulls it. But if you create an external dependency in the same namespace and you put it Pumpkin 3.0, it goes, I found a new version of Pumpkin. So it would start pulling code in. And people are like, well, it shouldn't work because then that code wouldn't match, because unless you have access to the internal code, there would be no way to do that. But that's where you're wrong. This person breaks down exactly the couple edge cases where that can happen, because normally I wouldn't know what their internal code looked like, so it would be really hard for me to match the code but then modify it. That's where things get a little bit clever and a little over my pay grade because I'm not a developer, but he breaks down how to work around that and how he was able to get it. Now, yes, the product would probably fail to build, but he's in. That was the important thing here. So yes, it wouldn't build. The software wouldn't work right because we injected a completely wrong version of Pumpkin that didn't match the internal code base, but you were able to get code to run and build in there that may execute something and then be inside the system. So it's a giant mess. That's all there is to it. That's the dependency confusion in a nutshell. I have a video where I think I broke that down as well, where I talk about that. 138,000 IOPS. This is pretty fast. So this is still running in the background. We assume it's all mitigated. I'm sure we can sleep well at night. Yep. Someone tried to impersonate me on Facebook. Facebook only did something after a couple of my friends reported, despite reporting them 15 minutes after they were discovered. Yep. It's slow for them to fix that problem. That's why I said Facebook's really done nothing, in my opinion, for identity management. There's so many Facebook accounts that are fake. I see it all the time. I especially less tech savvy people click on links all the time, and people clone their Facebook account and then start reaching out to the people they know. And it's messy. Nothing good comes of it. Nothing good comes of it. How much longer does this test have? Oh, it's getting better. Matter of fact, we can see some of the results here. Ooh, 133,000 versus 186,000. So yeah, local NVMe is certainly faster than the Synology there. But yeah, that's life. It's not bad. Don't get me wrong. 133,000 IOPS is a pretty good number, but 186,000 is a better number. I like how it does little bar graphs here to give you an idea of how much faster it's going. Actually, we have, however, I think I'll let this test run, and then I got to jump off because I'm going to go do things outside because it's nice out. It's not supposed to be nice this weekend, but it's nice out today, so I'm going to go be outside today. Let's see. What else do we have here? Let's go back over to Zen Orchestra. Not bad. Good speeds here. More testing. I'll get this benchmark updated. Well, actually, here I'll throw Jay's link in here too. In case anyone's wanting to watch the Getting Started with Cloud and It by Jay. So planning on replacing my UDM Pro with pfSense. Would the SG2100 be a good replacement? Yeah, I think the SG2100 is what I use at home. As long as you aren't exceeding or I'd say I think it does like 800 fine. Once you get over 800 meg for your internet, it chokes a little bit. It can do it. I think I can't remember exactly where the limit is. But my internet at home is not 800, so it works fine. I only have like a 200 meg connection at home. So for me, it's been working perfectly fine. But yeah, as long I think it's solid. That's actually, like I said, that's what I'm using right now at home is still a 2100. It's been my go-to for a while. It's a great system. Look at all this Synology testing on here. Yeah, I'm going to be doing more videos on how we handle all of this, all of our restorers, our backups. I got to do a new tour. The lab just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And these are pages of VMs that we have here available to my lab. Or these are actually, this is the logs, the pages we have here. It's not that many pages. Oh, we purged a lot of stuff. There's only 2 pages. How we restore and back up everything. They've done so much good engineering on this. I'm really excited about how they've done this with XCP-ng. I can't wait. I turned off my UDM Pro, hopefully the last time this week. Yeah. It works for people who have basic routing needs. Once you go over those basic routing needs, it's kind of, it's not a good fit. Almost done. What are the other questions we have? What is the other Q&A we want to do before I get off of here? Because this will probably be done shortly, and we'll look at the results and shrug our shoulders because the Synology results are way more interesting here. Drag them over. Here's all the benchmarks I ran on Synology earlier. It's a lot. This is where I was actually hitting, because this is, if you do the math here, 1,721 megs is actually about close to 13 gigs. So that's impressive. That's good numbers on there. I don't really use UNMS, so I'm not someone who can really help you much with that. We're not much of a UNMS user. Oh, yeah, need to keep it around to retrieve video footage. Yep. Yeah, 20 watts ain't bad. A lot of the older i5 systems usually use more than that, though. I'd say 20 watts is good. Most of them overall, not just the processor, but the overall usage is more than that. That's definitely an issue. Still running. Almost done. I don't know. Is there a need? Leave me a comment here. Is there any need for me to do a more in-depth video on Phoronix? I think a lot of people that use it kind of get it. So I don't know if there's really how much of a need there is for it. Oh, curious what those sounds will be with RAID. So if we actually ran into a problem, and I talked about this in my Synology video. The Synology video is the video just before this one. Please note, RAID 0 on 12 drives, I hit the hardware limitation. So that's actually one of the problems I ran into is these benchmarks should be different. They're not. They're a hardware limitation. It's 13 gigabits seems to be as much data as I could pull out of here. So RAID 0 should have really been faster, but it wasn't because it was a hardware limitation. So that's sometimes you run into that because you're running solid states. The limitation isn't the RAID type or the hard drives anymore. The limitation is the fact that this is as fast and as much data that would come out of that system and attach to the next system. Hey, awesome. Glad I'm helpful. Speaking of Synology, what are the best one for a home user who has files and pics they want to back up instead of paying for cloud services? Really, whichever one's big enough to hold however many photos you have and how many photos you plan to grow into. This is where the concern really comes in is it big enough for your storage needs? Are your storage needs the same as mine? I don't know. I have 78,000 photos. That's a different storage need than someone who has 7,000 photos. So it really comes down to which system are you going to get, is how much storage do you need? And, you know, if you're someone who's more casual and less obsessive than me with years and years of stuff that you just hold on to, I am very much a minimalist in my life, but I am a digital hoarder. So I keep all my digital things. I have them all organized, and that's how I'm able to find different things from different times. But yeah, if you're a digital hoarder, you're going to need a bigger storage device, and any storage device you have should never be relied upon. You should always also, in addition to, have a backup plan for that storage device. And I've talked about that with Synology. They actually, from someone who's if you're less technical, Synology is one of the easiest solutions to get started with, deploy, manage, backup, and kind of set it and forget it. There's a lot less involved in Synology than there is in some of the other ones. It's not that I'm trying to steer people away. It's deciding whether or not you want to get into a more complicated solution. I love TrueNAS. That's what we run for all of our stuff. And we do a lot of enterprise TrueNAS and we love it. But if someone's going, hey, I'm a casual home user that wants to back up my phone and I just want to set up an app, Synology's really done a great job on that market for that. So definitely works well. And this test is just keeps on going. So close to being done. Maybe, I don't know. It could just sit here and run forever. Oh, look. Now we can see the results and end the vlog. So now we're curious. Yes, upload all the things. And the winner is local NVMe. Beat it by quite a bit here. 186,000 versus 133. This is not quite double, but that NVMe is really fast for this particular workload, for these particular tests. So in this scenario, I would say NVMe is faster, but there's 12 drives, there's redundancy, there's more available storage on the Synology storage than there is in local NVMe. So it's not exactly a clear winner, because if we go to our storage pools here, the local, give it a good name, we have 400 gigs there, but if we go over to storage and we look at the here, we've got this much, but that's only because I've only allocated that much. I can actually go here. There's plenty more available. This storage pool actually has 4.2 terabytes, but when you go to the iSCSI manager, we've only allocated this much on here. I mean, we could allocate much more if we wanted to, and yes, leave. If we allocated more, then, well, that would change that dynamic again. So we'd have more storage to work with. Hopefully that makes sense over there. I see Linus finally bit the bullet and switched to a TrueNAS for editing. Yes, we talked about that earlier. Yes, he did. Yeah, the cloud backup on Synology, their cloud backup service is reasonably priced and turnkey. I did a review of it. We started deploying this for some of our customers that just like the Synology system. It's been something we've done tests with, we've done restores with. I think they've done a good job. They've made the pricing easy to understand and reasonable. I do have a comparison to TrueNAS, but if you're looking for an easy, simple turnkey system, Synology is going to be more turnkey than TrueNAS. That's just what it is. I can't help it. This is funny to me. I don't know why. I'm childish. You need to replace your Q6600? Yeah. Get some of them second gen, fourth gen Dell Optiplex. Yeah, there's a lot of different systems you can build out there. It's always a debate because there's actually a lot of good surplus hardware you can find on places like eBay as well. So that's definitely lots to think about there. And if you notice too, I got the spooky background set up for the Halloween. For those of you that didn't hear me say that at the very beginning, close all these windows I have open. Actually, we're going to shut things down. So reopen. So let's go here, migrate this back over to local storage because I'm going to delete. I'm done with this Synology for now. Well, I have some more testing to do, but that testing doesn't require this. So we just migrate this back over. In 2 minutes, it'll be gone. I'll delete the storage pool. And that's how we conclude benchmarking. We just sit here and run these all day. It's part of my job. And that's how we make the videos on YouTube that we make here. Tom runs a bunch of tests, or my staff runs some of the tests. We make sure all the tests are verified. We actually ran into a problem because the tests weren't what I expected them to be. And then I realized it was just a plug got moved over to 10 gig. There's one of the things I do is when we start looking at the tests, we kind of go back and verify the setup. Well, I should have verified it beforehand, but I ended up verifying it afterwards because one of the important aspects of this, if we go to the host, is making sure it's all connected at 25 gigs. And someone had plugged in and moved a cable and it was plugged into the 10 gig port. And yeah, that was bad. It caused some skewed results and had me to rerun all those results again, which took a lot of time. It's one of those, measure once before you end up cutting multiple times. It's the same thing apply. Check all the connections. Make sure they're all connected at what you think they're at. Don't just assume. It's not like it's hard. I mean, all I do is go here and click, and look and go, hey, what is it connected at? Oh, there we go. Look at that. There we go. That's what we wanted to see. 25 gigs. Awesome. That's the important part. Do you have any networking basic videos you've done? Any of them I've done in networking? I don't know how basic they are because that's a vague term. I have not done anything like what a subnet is level networking, but there's so many other people that did. I kind of skipped all that. So like I didn't start my network videos at the most basic level because if you look, there's already some popular graphics done videos that are out there to get people started with a lot of the basics. So I don't have any ones that are that way. Does TrueNAS have a way to do LVM snapshots? You cannot do LVM snapshots inside of TrueNAS. It uses ZFS snapshots. Yes, you can actually, one thing you can do inside of TrueNAS is you can choose multiple targets when you do ZFS replication. So your replication will replicate your snapshots and you can have multiple targets. So yes, there's a way to do it. It's just different because you're doing it all in TrueNAS. So hopefully that either confuses or clarifies things. I'm not sure which one. So you can have multiples and you can even have them going to like this goes from this server to this server. But you can also change that up and have it going to more servers. And when you do a replication inside of here, I have a video on replication, by the way. When you do replications, it also replicates to all the snapshots, all the features, the data sets, all the details is within the data set you're replicating end up on the other system. So yes, you can completely have all those snapshots. And it's kind of clever the way it works, but yes. So it's different concept. Yes. Snapshot like LVM, but very different the way it works in ZFS overall. The Synology has the Synology 25 gig card in it. I haven't any problems with it. I should make a list of all the cards. I bought a variety of cards to test. I don't remember which ones they are right now. I can't remember. I have to look it up, and I've completely forgotten. All the ones I tested worked the same, so I didn't have any problems with them. Yeah, and like you said here, if you want something really simple that just works, backups and everything, Synology, that's why we recommend so many of them. Matter of fact, among the things we're working on right now, I tweeted about this the other day. Actually, where can I find that at? In my Twitter, probably. Where did it go? Bring that over. We are working on a Synology HA setup as well. So this is another project. We just wanted to play with some more Synologies, do some fun stuff with it, show you how HA works. So these are two DS3617s fully loaded with drives. And yeah, it's just fun stuff we're playing with here at the office because want to see how it works. So the staff set this up, configured it. I'll walk through the configuration on there. Synology actually is kind of nice. They give you their own little graphics for how it all works to show you what's working, what's not. So definitely pretty cool. So more videos coming on that. All right. Is there any other final questions before I wander off and go play outside? Because it's so nice out. Because it's a beautiful day out. Based on your experience with software and mechanical engineering and Department of Robotics as editing lead, what? I have no idea what you're talking about. Do this right here. Bash the like button. That's what you need to do. So I'm going to go motorcycle riding. If you guys can click the like button before we leave. Let's see. Don't virtualize TrueNAS. Maybe I need to make a video why you shouldn't virtualize TrueNAS. That's like a good video topic because it comes up all the time. I have a video about how to virtualize it, and in that video I say why it's a bad idea. But maybe I should just make a video called "Why You Shouldn't Virtualize TrueNAS." Here's all the people that lost their data when they virtualized it because of problems and things like that. So I don't recommend it. People try it. If it's a lab, sure. It's not something I'd run in production. So hopefully that makes sense. All right. Thanks everyone for coming. Thanks everyone that hit the like button. Thanks for all of you that will hit the like button in the near future. I'm going to take off and go outside. Take this little pumpkin home because it's really cool. And that's about it. All right. See y'all later in the forums, and check out my Synology video I just posted if you want more information on some of the benchmarks. Now you see how I make the benchmarks, and that video I talk about the results of them. All right. Thanks.